Hi, obviously my name is Northridge. I've written a autobiography, only been recently published. It got published in October, so it's called The Walk of Life, Feet on the Ground. Okay, so my first slide is basically, I'm going to try and cram it in, well I've got apparently 15 minutes, I thought it could be half an hour, but...
not 15, 25.
Okay, anyway, whatever time I have, I want to try and cram in 43 years of my life in that time frame. Okay, so I'm going to try and cram it in as quick as possible. So basically, how to get from here to there. So basically, I'm there with my mum, and you can tell the 1970s clothes, and that's me with. I'll tell you about this operation very, very soon. And you might recognise this young lady here, and that young lady there as well. So. And I'll tell you how I got there as well in a bit, okay? And so the first thing that happened with me, basically with having Spina Bifida, I was born with a hole in my back. Basically it was about the size of a 2p piece. It was really about just above my bottom, and I lost a lot of blood, and so I basically almost died at a very young age. But they sewed that up, and I basically was healed from that, but then I developed hydrocephalus, and that's basically water on the brain. I don't know if you've ever heard of hydrocephalus before, but once that hole was sewn up, it was basically water was escaping through that hole, and it had nowhere to go then. Now the hole was sewn up, so I had hydrocephalus, my brain was swelling up, and again I nearly died at a very young age. But fortunately, I got the day before the operation, I was about to have an operation, and the day before the operation, I had baptised. I got baptised. My mum's a Catholic lady, and I got baptised. And just before the day before the operation was happening, I got baptised, and my head went down. So I don't know. I'm not a religious person, so to speak, but it's very coincidental that my head went better after being baptised. Very, very strange, but that's the truth.
So you didn't have operation?
I didn't have the operation because it was a very risky operation. It was going to be, basically people have died from the operation, so it was quite a risky one. So, so this is, like I say, I went to Catholic school, because I went to Catholic school, and this is my dad, apparently very handsome gentleman, this is me having Holy Communion. I was born Catholic, I went into Catholic school, and it was St. Elizabeth's in Belper, and it was a different school in the sense of like I got bullied a lot, which I'll go on to the next slide. And so I was basically, as I started to get older, my leg length got different because my right leg is unfortunately not as strong as my left leg, so my right leg was not growing as fast, so I started to limp a lot. And so children thought, okay, he's different. So I started getting bullied a lot. Wasn't involved in friends anymore. Wasn't involved in sports. And if I wasn't involved in sports, I got someone else to run for me. So I felt very segregated a lot at school. And so I basically learned to be by myself a lot. So I learned to be, independent. I played a lot of games by myself. I played a lot on like a little calculator at break times instead of playing with children, so that's what I used to do instead. So I've learned independence a lot. I'll say independence is quite a strong word for me.
And for me.
And for you, yeah, I've become very Mr. Independent, haven't I?
Yes.
I am. I'm Mr. Independent. I'm very. People say stubborn, but I like say independent. Yeah. It's different for words, but it's different. Yeah. Okay. So bit of a debate with each other. I'm saying, what is a disability, and are we all disabled, and is it a good way to describe that issue? And I'd just like to know what everyone's, if anyone would like to bring a thought into that. You know, are we? Cause I think the word disabled for me, it sounds like you're being unplugged. It sounds like you're being disabled. You know, you're not able to do anything. And obviously I'm termed as disabled, but I don't like the term disability, in my opinion. Just wonder what people's thoughts are. I've just had a bit of a play with words. I found this one I find it quite funny, this handy capable, because there's a great comedian, and I do recommend you follow him a little bit, because he's passed away quite a few years ago. But George Carlin, for me, he's very, very funny, but also very knowledgeable, in my opinion. He's a very wise guy, who he was. But now the next thing I like to do is to have a play with words. Now I love words. When I was a kid, I was, like I say, by myself quite a lot, and I used to write a lot, and that was one of my things about it was writing. And I love writing, hence I wrote the book as well. And also I used to write a lot of poetry, and when I got into real bad mood, I just poem. Books of poems I have. Which we will publish. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I promise.
Yeah, we will.
Because it's not for draw.
It's not for the draw.
Not,
No.
it's not
Yeah. So I like words, and in this book I also made a new vocabulary, and I'm going to show you now a small game. You have to find out which words are real and which ones are made up. Right then, so the major part of my early life that happened was basically, you know the operation that you probably saw at the start, there's a little picture of me where I got a little device on my leg. That was an operation called the Verona operation. That was to stretch my leg, and in order to do that, they had to, for the operation, they had to give me a muscle relaxant. So I had a muscle relaxant, and so as I'm sitting there in the bed in the theatre, I felt very weird, I felt very painful, and I felt very ill. And I thought, my hands feel very, very strange. So I looked at my hands, and next thing you know, I'm actually seeing twice the size, bright red. And I said to Mr. Newton, my surgeon, look at this, because he was preparing for the operation. He turned around and he thought, oh, and that was it. Next thing you know, I was out, and I saw black. That's what I saw for, I don't know how long a period, but I saw black. And the next thing I saw was actually, I went off into another realm. I had a near-death experience, basically. I had a life review. I saw myself past, present and future. I could be anywhere and everywhere I wanted to be. I saw my parents in the kitchen, preparing food, and actually saying, I can't wait to see my son. The near-death experience is, I'm going to quite a lot into more depth. And because it's actually a major impact in my life, and you'll read more about that in my book. So, one of the words that you probably saw is undateable. I basically, when I was growing up, I can't remember how many dates I've had in my life, but quite a lot. I'll be like, I get like the answer, you're too nice, or you get like, I didn't realise that your legs were like that, or, you know, so unfortunately, I had just like date, and never really gone into a relationship. The longest relationship I had before I met Julia was 6 weeks. So, that was like 36 when I got married, wasn't it? I was 36 when I got married. So, that was my shortest relationship, so 6 weeks was the one. So I always thought I was undateable, so I thought I'll put that word in there. So, basically, to entertain myself, I did other things. I went to Amsterdam. I'll be honest with you, I put it in my book as well. I experienced things in Amsterdam which you can do, which you can't do in England. Also, I drank too much. I'll be honest with you on that one. And
You're the picture.
That was me, yeah. And no, I'm joking. It wasn't me. No, but no. I must admit, I had an issue with alcohol. I thought, well, I'm undateable, and I thought I'm going to just enjoy myself, and I started like drinking at weekends. Then I thought, okay, every other day, and unfortunately it went into almost every day, which is not a good thing. But then when I met my wife, it started to change, and I don't. To be honest with you, I think I drink every like once a week, maybe even like maybe once a fortnight. It's very rare now that I don't get to the point where, and I don't get to the point where I used to get to the point off anymore. So basically, yeah. So the alcohol really was trying to stop a depression. I was actually quite depressed because I thought I was undateable and I thought I was different to everybody else. And I basically got into depression quite a lot, and I had to go through counselling. I went to a lady called Sue Gaskell, and I do talk about Sue Gaskell a lot in the book. Sue's been a very good friend of mine, and she's now living in New Zealand. So she moved from Derby to live in New Zealand, but I still keep in contact with Sue Gaskell, and she's like a font of knowledge and wisdom. She's just a brilliant lady, and I do recommend that people, if you feel sometimes like I felt, contact Sue. She's one of my friends on Facebook as well, so you can find her that way. The next thing I like to say is that this was a prime example of, again, I was always smiling. I always tried to put a smile on my face, but really I was unhappy, and I'm a big actor, and sometimes, even now, I'll be honest with you, I'm still a little bit of an actor sometimes. I'll try and smile, even though I'm not always that happy, with my legs. Sometimes I'm in pain, but I always try and put a smile on my face, because, that's how you are, and Robin Williams is a prime example of that as well. But anyway, my book is not all doom and gloom. It's also a bit of funny. I have great humour, which will, if people know me, I do have great humour. I do like to have a lot of laughter, and so the doom and gloom is not all there in the book. So the book is basically loaded with funny moments, happy stories, and great memories like we all have. I'm sure we do. So the last thing, again towards the end now, is the modern day fairy tale, how me and Yulia met. It's a great little story. I won't go into too much detail, but I go into my book. But it's a great little story. Basically, to give you the upshot of it, my best mate from college, he was entertaining people in a place in Cirencester in England, and he met up with a young lady, waitress in that place, Russian lady, and they decided to put me in the direction of Yulia. And I won't give the full details because that's in the book. But you have to read it to find out. But it is a nice story, and you'll be impressed by it, I'm sure. So basically, here's George Connolly again, because like I say, I'm impressed by him. The one thing he says basically is to question everything. And as I get older, I'm questioning a lot. I'm getting more wiser. Question a lot. I like to question a lot of things. And it's important to also bring that message on to children, to the younger generation. Because the reason why I question everything, I go into this one in my book as well, 9/11. It's important because basically we are all human beings on this planet sharing the earth together. And 9/11 is not how the media portrayed it to be. Basically, if you don't know, there was 2 towers that went down. Everybody knows about the Twin Towers going down, but not everybody knows about Building 7. Building 7 also went down on that day. No planes hit it. It was a fire, and it came down. And the weird thing was about it, BBC News lady is been live reporting saying Building 7 has now just come down. It's right behind her. Still standing up, nice and proud. 2 hours later, it came down. The last thing is basically another comedian. I love Bill Hicks. There's another comedian that I think is worth watching. So George Carlin and Bill Hicks are my 2 favourite comedians, and I do recommend people to follow them if you wish.
Yeah. Tell about the purpose of the book. So obviously to express yourself, but another reason.
Yeah, the main reason why I wrote the book. One of Yulia's pupils actually has read the book already, and he came over to me, wanted me to sign this book, and he shook my hand. And basically, I think it's, for me, I think it's connection. He realised the reason why I'm doing it as well. I'm doing it to connect, because I think we're all one human being, having experiences, and we just want to connect. I want to help people in this book. That's why I've done the book. Is there any questions about the book or anything?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look where you were and where you are now,
yeah.
What would you say? What would be the main message to
young me?
To young you and to people who are or who were in the same sort of situation?
I would say
Personal message
to disabled people, younger people, disabled.
We wouldn't say disabled. I don't want to use this word.
No, I don't like using that word. I don't know, but to summarise that word, yeah. I would basically say just be patient, and patience is the key for for a lot. Yeah, I've learned a lot of patience in my life, and learn patience and to be kind just to other people as well. The words I'm now using kind of hell of a lot is "it is what it is."
Yes.
And that's it.
And that's the life.
Yeah, no judgment on it now. It is what it is, and that's what I'm doing. If I stop analysing it even more, it's not good. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It's like with my situation now. I mean, we're getting towards the point where I've got ulcers on my legs, and it could possibility now go into amputation. And again, it is a big thing in my life now. But again, I'm saying to myself, it is what it is. What happens next, it's going to happen next, and that's how we're going. So we're going down to a bungalow, hopefully, and we're just adapting. Adapting is also a big word to use.
Can we give him applause? Because I'm there now. Thank you.
Yeah. Can I just say one more quick thing as well? In my 40s, after writing this book, I also started doing something quite important in my life. Unite Planet. Basically, it is what it is. Unite Planet. Unite us. So you've got the card. You've got my details on the card. We've got Facebook page. We've got internet. Website. YouTube channel. Basically, it's all sorts of things. My near-death experience is on there on the video. We've seen a UFO together, and you spotted it first, actually.
Yes,
when I was younger, 9 years ago, we saw a UFO. And that got my whoa, that got my interest going. So we talk about UFOs, we talk about so many different subjects, and Unite Planet is part of that as well. Yeah. So if you want to take a card, you're welcome to as well. Okay.
May I ask a question to you, Paul?
Yes, sure.
Why do you think that people should buy your book?
Why should people buy the book?
Yeah.
I don't want to force them to buy the book at all. And
read the book to be
or read it. Read it.
Why is it could be interested?
Why so interested?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting because it's a unique life. It's a unique story for that reason. And also, I've tried to do like conversational, like I'm making like a conversation. So I'm also asking questions. So you probably stop at the question mark and go like, So it's like making you talk with me kind of thing almost. So I do that a lot, and I also do a lot of humour in there. So it makes people like enjoy it a bit more. I don't want people to think, oh God, I don't want that. So I've done a lot of humour in there. So I think for that reason it's good. And also at the end of the day, it was to help people. So I'm saying about things about like suicidal issues, drinking issues, depression.
Okay.
So, and I think a lot of us probably have experienced something like that in our lives at one point or another. And I think that was the reason why I did it as well, because I wanted to be open. People were so quiet. I mean, I was so quiet. My parents didn't even know. But I had a time when I thought, that's it. My parents didn't know.
Paul, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Have you ever thought about, well, I don't know, with nowadays technologies, do you do a lot of awareness work? I mean, do you like in community, or do you travel somewhere to make people aware that you're not the only one?
Maria.
It's a good question. Yeah. The only thing I'm doing is Unite Planet in my personal time. When I have time, I do Unite Planet. What I'm trying to do on Unite Planet is basically trying to again unite us as a because sometimes I feel like there is and I say it in my book as well. I think there's some kind of force trying to separate us,
Right.
Trying like racism, sexism, all these isms, which for some of us, unfortunately, if we're not clever enough, take it on board and say, actually, yeah, I actually own that. But it's not really, it's someone else's influences that's giving you that.
Okay.
And it's not really our, so Unite Planet is that. So that's my things to everybody. And that's what I'm trying to do with Unite Planet, yeah.
Hello, and thank you very much for watching the video. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, and I hope you did, please give it a little like. And of course, subscribe to our channel.
We also have our Facebook account, information is below, and the ways you can fund us is also down below. And remember, let's unite and not to fight.
And together we can unite this planet better. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.